Okay, so I'm gonna share my Make It Pretty journey from the start, the very start, to how I got the idea, how I started, all the way to how I got to where I am today, talking to you guys on this webinar. I feel like there's power in sharing stories with each other, your life story, just any story. Like, I feel like we can connect with each other, learn from each other, and so I think it's an important part. And I'm going to share with you guys the I guess the experiences that really shaped our business to what it is today, and yeah, just my journey. Okay, so there's two periods to Make It Pretty. I usually refer to the second period of it when people ask me how long I've been running for. I usually tell them I started in 2018 because that's when I was kind of more serious about it, and that's when I bought the balloons in. But I actually technically started in 2016, and basically I was a stay-at-home mum at the time. Um, was not looking for work. Wasn't trying to do a side hustle. Like, I literally came across it randomly, and how I came about Make It Pretty was one day I was browsing Gumtree. So if any of you guys know what Gumtree is, it's like Trade Me, it's like Craigslist, I think. It's that kind of platform. And so anyways, I was on there one day and I saw someone hiring out lolly jars. And I had heaps of lolly jars myself, so like people used to always borrow them off me. And I guess like I've always liked to decorate, I've always liked to make things pretty. Whenever there's like a dinner party here, if we're gonna have a dinner or Christmas or birthdays, I always like to make it pretty. And so I had a few little things. I had cake stands and stuff, but the lolly jars were like popular, back then. They were kind of just phasing out in 2016 when I came across someone hiring them out. So I saw that on Gumtree and I thought it was a really good idea, and so I thought I should do it. So I did. I put mine up on my account, and people started hiring them off me, and that's pretty much how I got into it. Um, I did not realize that this was an actual business, like prop hire. I had heard of party hire. Obviously, I used that for my wedding, but I didn't know that people did this. Like, I feel like it was just starting to become a thing in 2016. Like, there were people doing it, but it was not popular. And now it's like everyone's doing it. But yeah, so I started hiring up my lolly jars, and then I pretty much went through my whole garage and was like, well, what else do I have here that I can put up and hire out? So I put up like everything I had, cake stands, drink dispensers, just whatever I had that could be like, pretty and worth hiring out. And then I saw a marquee and I had a marquee, like a little 3x3 pop up marquee that we bought for the beach. And I stuck that up online. And that was really popular. And that actually went out like nearly every week. And that kind of got me like, oh yeah, okay, And so I bought more. And once I realized that this was a thing, prop hire was I obviously started a Facebook page, called myself Make It Pretty. And the way I look at it is, this is how I explain it to people. When you're a stay-at-home mum, right? And say it's your daughter's birthday, and so you bake her a cake for her birthday, and it's pretty good. You do this really cool cake. And then so everyone's like, man, you should sell cakes. And then so you do. you start selling cakes and you're like the cake lady. I feel like as a stay-at-home mom, we try a lot of things, we do these things, because we have to do a lot of things for our kids, and we find like talents along the way, and we try things out, and I guess this is what Make It Pretty was to me, because I wasn't looking for work, I wasn't looking for a side gig or anything. Like, it pretty much was an excuse. First it was like, I have this stuff, why not make money off it? And people used to always borrow my stuff, so I was like, oh yeah, put it up for other people to actually pay to borrow it. And then when I realized prop hire was a thing, I actually went and like bought a few cake stands. I got all the gold cake stands and stuff, and then it turned into like a excuse to buy expensive pretty things and justify it to my husband, because I was like, I'll just hire them out. And then when the marquees started getting popular, that marquee I had, I was like, man, like, it was regular customers coming for the marquee, so I got more. Like, it just seemed like a no-brainer. And so I actually went down the marquee route, and I ended up buying a lot of marquees. Just the cheap kind from eBay, and people would come buy them, borrow them, hire them. They'd come pick them up, take them for the weekend, put them up themselves, and then bring them back. But then they got more work than they were worth. They were breaking because they were cheap quality, and we keep replacing them, and it just wasn't worth it. We looked into getting the like commercial ones, the more professional ones, but they were way too expensive, and we needed like the manpower, and I guess it just wasn't meant to be for us. So at that period too, I was kind of getting over it, and I felt like I said, this was like, one of those stay-at-home mum hobbies, and now I'm over it, and so I kind of fizzled out, and I kind of stopped doing it. And during that time, my husband was getting a lot of gout attacks, and so we're both very affected by health, have been affected by health through our lifetime. My mum has always been chronically ill. She has been in and out of hospital, had surgeries, and she's just always been ill, which has affected me and affected how she could parent me, because she was always sick, and she raised me on her own, so she worked as well. And then my husband lost his mum to cancer. She raised him on her own as well, and she passed away when my husband was 15. So we've both been really affected by health. And during this time, he was getting gout like weekly, on a weekly basis, and he was miserable. And if your partner's miserable, then you're miserable, and it's just not a good time. So during this time, Make It Pretty fizzled out, and I kind of, and then I felt this impression that I needed to go and educate myself on health. So I did. I signed up to IIN, the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and I studied for a year. And for me, I did not do well at school. I hated school, and I was one of those kids who went to school for like 2 days a week, 2 to 3 days a week, and would go for like half days, and just was always absent. I was the kid that you didn't even notice was there or not. I just slipped through the system and just didn't like school, didn't even show up to my exams, and I dropped out early. But I felt like I saw this course, and I resonated with it, and I really wanted to educate myself for my family. So I went and studied there, this coaching program, and that really put me on the path for the second stint of Make It Pretty. And through that course, it was life-changing. Like, it was so cool. I learned so much. The biggest impact for me was the very beginning, when I signed up, and I signed up at a time where we weren't financially doing well. And my husband's always worked, and his job's been really well, but I think we had gone away to New Zealand and come back, and just, like, all the bills come at once when you're running low on cash, and just, it was just not ideal to go and sign up and spend all this money to study, but I did it anyway. And it was one of the best things I've ever done. So I went and studied in it, and I remember the very first test that I had, it was a multiple choice test, and it's designed for you to pass, but I'm telling you, for me, for how I grew up and everything, it just, even that is, I just struggle. Like, it's real hard. So anyways, I remember doing this test, and it came back, and I got 30 out of 30 for it, and I found it hard, like, when I was doing it. And so that there for me was like a life-changing moment. Like, it may be funny and silly to other people, but to me, like, for real, it was like, I just remember in that moment when I got it back, like, I was honestly shocked, and because I honestly struggled to do it, and I studied for it and everything, and I enjoyed, like, learning, but just the fact that it was like, 100% right, correct, it just, for me in that moment, it sparked something in me where I thought, man, like, a light switch flicked in my head, I guess you could say, where I went from thinking, I've always thought I was dumb, and thinking like that, I've always limited myself, thinking like, oh, I can't do that, I'm dumb, like, like, just don't take these opportunities because you just think a certain way about yourself. So when I did that test and got the results, I remember just that switched in my head, and I was like, man, like I'm actually smart, like, you know, or I'm capable of learning things, like I'm actually not dumb, like I can do this. And I think that's the first step towards my path of how well I've done through Make It Pretty, because I just changed how I felt about myself, and I stopped turning away opportunities because I started believing in myself. And then that whole course that I did through the year was just amazing. Like everything I learned through it was just put me on the path of where I am today. And so I did that year, graduated, and by the end of that year, I was really in tune with myself. I had found myself again. You know, when you have a baby, when you have kids and stuff, and you're a mom, you get married, you kind of lose yourself. You lose yourself in the roles, and you forget who you are, because you're no longer this teenager or this adolescent who's about to get married. You're now a mom, and you kind of lost your own identity through that in a way. So I kind of found myself again through that course. And I was very in tune with myself, very just knew what I wanted, who I was, and everything. And my sister-in-law got married. And so because I always decorate, not hugely, like I wasn't that known for it, I guess, but I don't know, like I just, obviously she knew I was good at stuff, so I helped her. And obviously when I was doing Make It Pretty and doing cake stands and stuff, and I guess I did have a name for styling, but I never did anything massive or anything. So anyways, she got married and I helped her with her wedding. I styled it. And I guess that by then too was when I noticed that the balloons were coming out. You know, I always thought balloons were tacky, but then I saw these big balloon garlands like coming into trend, and I thought they were really dope, and I really wanted to try one. And so I saw this stylist on Gina Styling, if you follow her, and she did a wedding shoot and she did this balloon feature, and I wanted to do it. So I basically got the balloons and did it for my sister-in-law's wedding. So I went from thinking balloons are tacky to adding balloons to a wedding. And that just brought that passion back in me. I was very in tune with myself and knew who I was, and I just thought, man, I want to do this. And it wasn't, again, like my husband earned good money and I didn't need to work, and I wasn't like I want a job, I want to create a business. Like it was a I want to do some dope styling. Like that's how I started the second stint of Make It Pretty. And so I bought balloons into it, and I started doing balloons, and started like being more active, got Instagram, on social media, you know, like bringing Make It Pretty, like just promoting it again. And when I say promoting it, like just, I guess just being involved in it, like, I don't know, posting up pictures on my socials, and I just got interested in it again. And then people started booking me for balloons. I started just doing them for any occasion that we had in our family. And that first year, so that was 2018, and that year it just did really well. Like I organically grew, my following organically grew, and I was chasing the buzz of I'm talented and I want to try different setups. I want to push my limits and see like where my talents take me. Didn't care about the money, wasn't doing it to do a business, purely just was chasing my talent. And then by the end of 2018, my husband got injured. So long story short, he was going paralyzed. He didn't have an accident or anything. Apparently doctors say that he must have, like he's been in a car accident and stuff when he was younger, and they said that it could have been a number of things. They said it could have been that. They said it could have been him playing rugby when he was younger. And over the years, obviously, it stiffened up, like whatever injury he had, and something triggered it. And then there was a 3-month period where doctors kept saying he just had a pinched nerve, and he was actually going paralyzed. So if he hadn't got surgery, they said he'd be quadriplegic. So it was pretty intense. And so he went and had surgery, and he was off work for like a while. But during that time, Make It Pretty was doing really well, and so it helped us financially survive, because my husband couldn't work because he was recovering from this hardcore surgery, and Make It Pretty was doing well. And during that time, that's when it changed for me from just chasing my talent, because even then, like, I was on a buzz, so I wanted to work because I wanted to see what I could do, and I was just on this buzz. I liked doing it. But at that point, I realized that this was too much of an opportunity to not pursue. Like, I would be stupid if I didn't try and make the most out of it. And that's when it turned more into a business for me. That's when I was like, okay, I want to make this a thing. And it was cool to see that I could take the pressure off my husband. And like I said earlier, how he was getting gout all the time, I felt like it was the shift work he was doing, because he was a youth worker, and a residential care youth worker, and he did a lot of shift work, and that was not good for his health. And here I am enjoying what I'm doing, so it was just kind of like a no-brainer. So that switched for me, and I got a bit more serious about it, and I got more interested in the business side of things. And then from there, I just kind of like was like investing more into it to make more money, because, why not? Like, I had this opportunity and I got serious, and then eventually here we are today. Now my husband works full time with me. I wasn't setting any goals of, only now I'm setting like intentional goals of where I want to move for Make It Pretty. But even then, when I switched to wanting to pursue the business, it was kind of like just try and maximize everything that I'm doing anyway, and learn about how to do the business side of what I do. And it led me to the point where my husband ended up leaving his job and coming on full time with me. And now we have a full time work staff member who works for us, and she does our admin. And she looks after our kids. So she's one of our friends, and she worked in childcare. And my mum used to live with us, but now she's moved back to New Zealand, and so she was like the babysitter. And so we created a role for my friend, because we were drowning in admin, like couldn't do anything else, and started hating Make It Pretty because we were just so busy, and you have to balance. So it just worked out. We just offered her a job, and so she works admin during the week, and she does one shift on a Saturday, childcare, where she takes our kids and looks after them, and we work. And then we have a permanent casual, is it called permanent casual? I'm not sure anyway. Mateo, who works for us, and and we have other casuals, but he's our main one, and he works with us on the weekends, and he does a lot of our bump outs, and works with my husband a lot. So yeah, so we are a team of 4. And in that first year, 2018, of the second stint of Make It Pretty, in that first year, without really realizing it, I had almost doubled my husband's income by just chasing my talent, not even trying to run a business. And that's why it's all about passion. I swear, you've got to be passionate. And you don't have to just be passionate about talent. You could be passionate about helping your family. Like, everyone has different reasons, as long as you're passionate about your reason. And and this year, 2019, we've really concentrated on the business, and kind of just it's been more of a fix up year, where we've been like, because obviously I was just running everything I was chasing the wanting to do a cool setup, but with getting a bit lost here. With what was I trying to say? Oh yeah, when we got like more focused on the business, we realized we had to clean up a few things, and we realized we were wasting a lot of money in areas, and so it's been a learning year. And now 2020 is just going to be even bigger and better. And yeah, so that's basically my Make It Pretty journey. I'm going to share more about that, and more detailed experiences about that, in my business advice. But yeah, that's basically how I created Make It Pretty.